Hi, almost everyone is watching my channel without a subscription. Please support me and subscribe. I release videos every day for you. Story 1. I cut my children out of my will because of what they did to my late wife's inheritance. My now deceased ex-wife and I have 5 kids together. 21F, 24F, 28M, 30M, 35ME. A few years ago, their mother passed away and left each of them a very large inheritance. Over 300 GBP each, evenly distributed among them. Prior to her passing, she made it clear to them that this money was not to be wasted. It was to 1. Used to pay off debt. 2. Used to further education. 3. Put towards buying a house in future. 2 of my kids, 24F and 28M, have completely squandered this money in just a couple of years. My daughter spent it all traveling across the world, carefree, staying in nice hotels and eating fancy dinners. I completely understand going on a vacation, but to blow all of it on travel against her mother's wishes? Bloody shameful. My son is even worse. He has literally spent it all on drugs, alcohol, and escorts over this time. None of it, none, going towards self-improvement as their mother wanted. So I continued to hound them over this time and time again until, as expected, it's all bloody wasted. Once this happened, I decided to cut them both out of my will, as I don't want my hard-earned money being squandered so my children can live a hedonistic lifestyle for a couple of years. I told this to their siblings in confidence, so that they would be prepared to deal with the fallout when I eventually pass. One of them, not sure who, let it slip to them, and now they've gone off the deep end and proclaimed I'm dead to them, and they don't have a dad, etc. I don't want to go into a long, bitter feud with my kids, but damned if I'm going to have my life savings wasted by them also. So I took the advice of the previous thread, which was overwhelmingly to consider setting up a trust for my 2 problem children. Before I even invited the 2 of them over to talk the issue over, my son called me to apologize for how he was acting. He seemed genuinely ashamed of the things he said and admitted that it was wrong of him to waste his mother's savings like that. Anyway, I invited the 2 of them over to tell them my plans. As I say, my son seemed very apologetic, while my daughter was clearly still upset with me. I told them that I would reinstate their inheritance, but since they've demonstrated extremely poor money management, that I will only do so through a trust, that I'd talk with a proper lawyer/financial expert on setting them up, and they'd be designed to provide for them and any future children they have over many years after I'm gone. That them blowing through it in a few years is simply not an option. Some took the news very well and said he wouldn't trust himself with that money anyway. I'm not sure what caused such a sudden change of heart in my son, but as I say, it seemed genuine. He also offered to go to therapy for his sex/drug addiction if I'll pay, to which I agreed. I'll make sure this therapist actually exists, don't worry. My daughter did not take it well. Christ. Far worse than I expected. Here I am willing to give them a second chance, and she just blows up about how it's not fair that it's only them that don't get the money outright. I explained that their siblings had demonstrated they were responsible with money, and hence why I would leave it to them outright. Nope, not good enough for her. She doubled down that spending all of her mother's 300k plus GBP on travel was justified. Had the gall to again call me several extremely upsetting names and accuse me of being emotionally abusive. So I told my daughter that as I'm retiring soon, perhaps I should experience the joys of travel also. Perhaps I should spend her inheritance that I've worked for my entire life on travel myself. She stormed out and hasn't contacted me since. Really proud of how my son's taken the news. Extremely disappointed in my daughter. Genuinely considering spending her part of the inheritance on travel myself at this point. Story 2. I criticized my misogynist sister for being dumb and needing to change her profession. My 26F, sister 29F, and I got into a huge argument the other day, and I really need some perspective. My sister has been working as an L&D nurse for a few years now. She has always wanted to be a nurse and has even said that it was her calling. Lately, she has been making horrible remarks about the mothers that come to her. Now, I understand that every job is going to have its problems, and sometimes you need to vent about rude people, management pay, etc. However, this was not like that. For example, she talked about one of her patients, which she referred to as White Whale. My sister said that White Whale went into labor and brought her husband with her. She talked about how hot her husband was and how she could not understand how Whale was able to pull someone like him. She laughed when recalling the sounds she made when pushing out her child, and said that she didn't look like the type of woman to be strong enough to go the natural route. In the past, she has talked about how another mom to be defecated on the table, and she remarked that she wouldn't be surprised if her husband divorced her after seeing something so nasty. Other stories included a teenage patient who just couldn't keep her legs closed. Here, my sister claimed that she gave her some sound advice, and I'm honestly scared to know what she had said to this young girl. With this girl, my sister laughed about she gave her a nurse dose of pain meds to get her to shut up, and refused to give her a blanket, since if she wants to act like an adult, then she deserves to be treated like one. The fight between her and I happened a few days ago, due to her talking about a mother who delivered a premature baby. She admitted that she told this mother that she should have done a better job, if she didn't want to have a baby born at 29 weeks. I blew up at my sister and asked her how she could be so heartless. My sister told me that she should have the right to vent about stupid mothers who don't know how to do the thing their body is designed for. She also said that I don't work in healthcare, so I have no right to remark on how she handles stress at work. I told her that if her way of handling stress is to be a misogynist, then she needs to find a different career. I left afterwards. My other family members have been divided on this issue. My husband is on my side. My mom and brother think that I was in the right to call my sister out, while my aunt, uncle, and dad are leaning towards my sister, saying that my sister shouldn't have to kiss up to her patients in order to do her job efficiently. I feel bad for some of the things I said, and I know that she needs to let off steam, but saying horrible things about women in their most vulnerable time isn't cutting it for me. In addition, my family does not know this yet, but I'm pregnant. And hearing about how my sister, a nurse, is treating pregnant women just makes me scared for labor and delivery. So AITA, edit. Okay, hi everybody. First, thank you all for the advice, support, and the well wishes for our pregnancy. I'm about 11 weeks along right now, so I do plan on telling our families in a week or so. With the issue regarding my sister, I don't have too many updates yet, other than the fact that my husband and I called the hospital where my sister works and essentially explained what my sister has said about her patients to me. I went into detail about what I could remember and just reported it. They thanked me for letting them know, but I don't know what further action they would take. My sister is taking the night shift tonight, and she has yet to call me screaming, so we will see what occurs in the next few days. I will give you guys an update soon. Edit 2. Okay, hey. So this afternoon, the hospital that I called yesterday called us back this afternoon, and essentially gave me a link to online, and asked me to fill out a detailed written complaint, specifically about what my sister had said about the teenage patient and the nurse dose, something they didn't know about. It's something that they are taking very seriously, and the teenage patient was apparently fairly recent. The guy on the phone also alluded that the family of that patient also made a complaint, so I guess they're just trying to see if the events occurred matched between what we have to say. Someone is also going around asking the unit about what exactly happened with that patient's care and if they saw anything or if anything was said. Update. Okay, hi again everyone. First, thank you again to everyone who commented and gave me advice on how to best navigate this situation. I tried to write this update in a separate post, but the mods wouldn't let me. So here I am at the bottom of my original post again, giving you guys an update. To sum it all up, shit hit the fan. This morning, my sister came over to where me and my husband live and started banging at our door. My husband opened the door and my sister barged her way in screaming. I came into the living room where she was and she started screaming at me more. My husband had to stand in front of me because he was worried that she was going to lunge at me. My sister was yelling about how she lost her job because of some bullshit reports, and that she knows that it was me talking shit about her, because I just couldn't stay out of her business. I replied that it was my business if she was bullying pregnant women and then bragging about it. My sister told me to fuck off, and she said once again that she could talk about anyone any way she fucking likes, as long as she gets her job done, because that's what she went to school for, and I don't know shit. I reminded my sister that I actually might know some shit, since, I don't know, a certain teenager's family had something to say about her behavior as well. My sister proceeded to go on a rant about that bitch and her family, and how she was supposedly annoying her by giving birth. I had trouble processing what she said because it was honestly mind-boggling. And here's where things got really shitty. I thought that my sister saying horrible things about her patients who hadn't done anything wrong was mean. I thought that the nicknames were cruel. I thought that her telling laboring mothers that they weren't doing things right and dosing a teenager and the slut-shaming was vile, and yes, misogynistic. However, it was about to get atrocious. During my sister's rant, she said that she wanted to teach the brat a lesson, and said that maybe if she gave birth when she was older, her kid wouldn't have died. My mouth dropped open. I didn't know this before. That poor girl. Her baby died. I was horrified. I fell to the floor sobbing, imagining that child in so much pain, and my pregnancy hormones combined got to me, and I was on the floor having a panic attack. I told my sister to get the fuck out of my home, and my husband escorted her out. My husband held me for a good 15 minutes until I calmed down. So yeah, I'm recovering from all that now. I don't plan on talking to my sister for a while. I do plan on announcing the pregnancy soon, but I'm putting it off until later. Anyways, thank you for your advice, concerns, and well wishes. Peace. Story 3. I am 43, was thinking of breaking up with my chronically ill F50 partner. Please forgive me. This is a throwaway account. I'm a long-term Redditor, but I don't really want to be asking for advice on an open forum when it can be traced back to me. Anyway, here's the situation. My partner, 48F, and I, 39M, has a bit of a row last night over something kind of trivial. It's not what it was about, but rather a straw that broke the camel's back scenario. We've been together for coming up on 10 years now, and we've been living together since 2011. My partner is long-term ill with me/CFS and hasn't been able to work since we've been together. I do work, I'm paid fairly well, but living on a single salary has been challenging. Anyway, I realized about halfway into the argument that I was done with this and just left the house, drove away because I simply couldn't be there anymore. Ended up sitting in the car trying to decide what to do for several hours. Couldn't really decide, hence this post. Now our relationship has been brittle for a while. That's at least partly my fault. I've had next to no libido for months and haven't really done anything sort of romantic or going on a date for quite some time. I think I may have been skirting the edges of depression, and I haven't really been sleeping either. But either way, I work, I come home, and I'm really not keen to be doing much at all at the weekends, because I'm just weary. I do have things I end up needing to do, because the consequence of a chronic illness is that I'm pulling double duty as a part-time carer. In fairness, I don't need to do much on that front, but it's a few hours a week on top of my day job. It has been worse in the past, when the me really flared up. And because I earn more than a pittance, my partner is basically not eligible for any state assistance that's means tested. The threshold is pretty low, and we live in a fairly high cost of living area. But I've been feeling, fed up I think, is the best way I can describe it. I keep having recurring moments of doubt, where I feel like I'm being exploited and taken for a fool. I mean, I've paid all the household costs and rent for pretty much 8 years, and that's not really a small amount of money. If I'm lucky, I put by 5% of my take-home for my spending money, and I've only done that in the last year or so, because I realized I was being unreasonably tight with everyone else I knew, because I thought of myself as broke. If you ask me if I care for my partner, then the answer is yes. I do care for her, we have a dog together, and I know she needs me, even if she became eligible for state assistance. It's not really generous when you're persistently debilitated. But I also can't see a light at the end of the tunnel. I think that's contributing to the depression too. Our future is basically me working to fund both of us, up until retirement and possibly beyond, because we won't own a house, and we'll be living on a single pension. Which again, isn't bad, but the one minor hope is that me/CFS will just go away one day. But it's been 10 years so far. Following our argument last night, I found myself thinking through the scenarios of what if we broke up, and the prospect seems complicated. We've got a lot of shared stuff, but doesn't make me feel sad or upset like I feel it probably should. It'll be expensive and difficult though, as we're in a joint tenancy agreement, and like I said, with a dog. She's non-negotiable. She's literally saved me when I've been feeling suicidal. How do I know if we're done, or whether the relationship is worth salvaging? It was 4 years ago that I posted that, and I thought I would come here and share what's happened since. I didn't break up with my partner. We're living happily ever after. Because as a lot of commentators pointed out, I was depressed, and that was a problem. It turns out I have ADHD. I've done forever, and I'm late diagnosed at 43. Treatment for depression was very beneficial, but highlighted the ADHD possibility, and that too has now been treated. And I'm happier today than I have been in a long time, possibly ever. Because I do still have my chronically ill partner. She's now my wife. She proposed to me, and she had faith in me through my depression, where I wasn't the nicest of people. I was pretty awful, frankly. I was the stereotype bundle of red flags that this sub would have said, run screaming. And honestly, you'd have all been right. She probably should have done. I was depressed to the extreme and, well, wasn't easy to live with. A very hollow justification perhaps, but I thought it would be better this way to push her away. But she didn't. She had faith in me, and her words, "This isn't you. This isn't the man I fell in love with." The ultimatum to get it sorted was what I needed to get depression treated, and then follow through to get my ADHD diagnosed and treated for what I needed. I didn't really deserve that, but I'm glad I got it. It took 6 months maybe to go from my lowest point to where I am today, which is happy. Happier than I have ever been. I have a good job, I have a dog, I have a home, and most of all, I have a loving wife who had faith in me when I was at my worst. 30 years of undiagnosed, untreated ADHD are being tackled, and 20 years of depression is unraveling. It's taken a while, because there's a lot to unpack. I'm maybe not quite the man she had faith I could be, but I'm going in the right direction. I want to be that man, because we aren't just a couple, we're a partnership. And that partnership is sustaining and enriching. Edit. Sorry, this is a repost. Apparently, a throwaway needs to be explicitly tied to the sub. But I do want people to see a good post, so I'm having another go. Do not forget to subscribe and leave comments. Videos are released every day.